Welcome everybody to Crafting with Ginny at 3:30. Today we are going to, this week actually is all about the North. So this morning we did a little Inuit girl craft. So in the North we have penguins. So today we are going to be making a penguin out of a water bottle. So this is a fun craft to do, and it's using recyclable materials. So you're going to need a water bottle for your craft. You're going to also need a little bit of black foam and a bit of yellow foam. You're going to need some cotton balls because, of course, we're going to be stuffing the bottle with cotton balls. You're going to need some felt pieces. You can choose whatever colors you want. I chose a light blue and kind of a greeny blue and even a dark green. So you're going to need that. The other thing you're going to want, you can either have colored Google eyes or you can have medium black and white Google eyes. So the other thing you're going to want is either some string, or I have like a stretchy kind of cord. You can use whatever you want. And some glue, like a glue stick. And then you're going to want to have some paint, some black paint, because the first thing you're going to do is paint your bottle with black paint. I just used acrylic paint. And of course, to paint, you're going to need like a paint tray or newspaper or something to put it on, with a little tray to put your paint in and a paintbrush. And I use this sponge brush. So the other thing I would suggest that you have is a pencil and a pair of scissors. And I have already cut out my little penguin accessories. So you're going to need, for the foam, you're going to cut out some black wings. For the yellow foam, so you're going to cut out some yellow feet. And for the scarf, you're going to need your felt for that, to cut that out, and your little hat as well. So you can find this on our website, and it's got all the instructions in there, step by step, even shows the final finished piece. All right, so let's get started. So to save time, because I only have so much time for doing this craft on Zoom, I have already pre-painted my water bottle. So you can see you want to paint at least the back of it. So about 2/3 of it. The front, you're going to leave it clear like this because you're going to be stuffing it with cotton balls. So we're going to leave that there. I have pre-cut, as I said, my wings. So I did pre-cut my wings. And I pre-cut it out of black felt, and then I did 2 of the legs for the penguin. I've cut 2 of the legs. So I've pre-cut those already. So now what you're going to do is you are going to, also I'm using a hot glue gun, but you don't want to use this unless you're using it safely. So there should be parent supervision with a hot glue gun. And I have some glue sticks handy so that I can keep that there. And just inviting. So, all right, so here we are. So I'm going to start. So you've pre-painted your bottle with the black acrylic paint, and you want to leave the front white. So now we're going to take our cotton balls and we're going to stuff that in. Now I have a little rod here. You can use anything to poke the cotton balls down to the bottom. So you take the lid off, and then you're going to stick them in. And you're just going to keep pushing them in with your fingers. Just push them into the bottle. So I'm going to show you how I'm doing that I'm just pushing this in, down into the bottle. You're going to need a lot of cotton balls to fill that up, because you want to fill that bottle. So keep pushing them in. And as you're pushing them in, you can take your little skewer or your wooden, whatever you've got to push them down, and push them down to the bottom. You want to make sure your bottle, by the way, is dry inside. So you're just pushing them down there. And now you're going to keep filling it until your water bottle is full. So I'm filling it right to the top. With my cotton balls. Because that's the white part of the penguin that you want to show. So you're going to need lots. So just keep pushing them in. And if you need a little help to push them in, use that wooden skewer that you have, or whatever you're using to push it down with. Maybe you've got a stick. If you don't have a wooden skewer or some kind of, just use something to push it down with. But don't poke through the bottle, just push it down with that. So I'm pushing it in so that it's filling up all those spaces. And I'm going to keep filling it. That takes you the most work, is filling the bottle. Make sure once you've painted your bottle that your bottle is completely dry on the back before you start filling it with these cotton balls. I'm just going to keep filling. I'm just about done because I want to get it right to the top. And you can see it's getting pretty full. So I'm just going to push that a little more. So there, now you have the white part of your penguin and you have the black part of the penguin. So once you have all your cotton balls in, you can just, oops, my lid just fell. I'll just pick it up. You can just put your lid back on. And now you're going to take your wings that you have. You want to cut those out in black. So you're going to cut out your wings with your scissors out of the felt, right? You want 2 wings. You want to cut a piece of scarf, and you want to have a piece that's cut for the hat. So I've already pre-cut my hat. So I'm going to make the little hat right now. So I want to make sure that it's going to fit around there. But before I do that, I also need a black piece of foam. So I'm going to cut that to cover the bottle cap, because that's what you're going to be, that's going to be the face of the penguin. So you're going to be doing it around the top here. So you've cut a piece of black. Now you're going to glue it on there. And I'm using my glue gun because that works better for me right now because it's faster. So I'm just going to put some glue on and stick my black face. It's for the face of the penguin on there. So I glued it to the cap. So now you can see that's the face of the penguin. So you want to glue it at the back so that you have the face to work with. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to take your hat and you're going to make your hat. So you want to measure around, because you want to be able to fit it onto the cap. So it has to fit over there. Now, before I do that, I want to glue on my Google eyes. So I'm going to take my Google eyes and I'm going to glue on a couple of black and white Google eyes. I'm not going to use colored ones on my penguin. I'm going to use black and white ones. So I'm going to put a little glue. This is the front of my, or this is the, whoops, I've turned that the wrong way here. Let me just do this over. This is the front of your penguin here, and this is the back. So make sure that you glue it in the right spot. And I'm going to get a different piece because that one ended up being kind of not very long, and I want it a bit longer. So I'm going to cut another piece and make that a little bit longer out of my felt. And I'm going to go around like this and glue it onto the cap. Because mine kind of tore. So if that happens to you, don't worry about it. Just get another piece of black felt and then you can just trim it on the end and glue it on there. Okay, so you always want to put the glue at the back. This is your front, that's your back. So now I'm going to glue on the Google eyes onto the face. So I'm going to decide where I want my Google eyes to be. So right about there. And then I'm going to put some on my other one. So I've got one eye on. Now I need to put the other eye on. Be careful with that glue gun. It can burn very easily. So there you see, you've got the start of his face. So now the other thing that you want is his beak. So I have pre-cut a beak, and I'm just going to find my envelope here because I have it in my envelope somewhere. I should have, or maybe it's disappeared on me. So I'm going to have to pre-cut a beak. So I'm just going to cut a beak with my scissors here on the yellow foam. So you can make your beak as big as you want and glue it right there. And I like to glue it off to the side a little bit. So there we have his beak. So now we're going to make, we can glue gun his wings on too if you want right now. But first I'm going to make his hat. So the first thing you want to do is you want to cut a piece. I'm going to use green today. And I'm going to cut a nice piece that's kind of tall, fairly big, because you're going to want to put, cut it into fringes afterwards, and you're going to need to tie it. So I've cut a fairly big piece. I want it to be big enough to fit over here, over the face. Not over it, but just on the head part of the face. So I'm going to glue that together. I'm putting a bit of glue gun on here. Make sure it's big enough. Now it might be a bit big, so I'm going to re-glue it here so that it fits nicely. If it's too big, just adjust where your glue is. All right, so now what you're going to do with your hat, and I'm just going to turn this down a bit. You're going to take your hat. So I'm going to put a bit more glue here. And I'm going to gather it at the top. And I'm going to take some string. So I've got some string and I'm going to tie it at the top, because that's going to be your tassel or your top of your toque or hat. So you want to tie it together with some string. And I'm going to move mine down just a little bit because I want to have some left over there. So do it nice and tight. And don't worry if you've got some string left over there. You can always trim it or you can leave it on like that. So that's going to be the hat. Now what I'm going to do is I want to cut the top part so that it looks kind of like a fringe. So I'm just going to put little cuts into that felt. So I just used a bit of green felt and I'm just cutting it so it looks like a fringe. And then you can spread it out a little bit when you've cut it. So I'm going to make a couple more little cuts in this. So you can make as many cuts as you want. It depends on how thick you want it to look. So there it looks like a kind of a fringe. So now you have a little hat for your penguin. And now what I would do is I would glue it on to the back of your penguin's head so that it stays on. So you have it on there like that. So I would put a little bit of glue on the back. So I'm just putting a little glue on the back there. And my hat fell, so I'm just going to pick it up. And you're just going to slip that on so the glue sticks to the back. There. So now your penguin is wearing a hat. So you can see he's got a toque on. If you want to call it a toque or a hat, that's what it's called. So just make sure it's on there pretty good with some glue at the back. And you've got your little hat there. So now you can glue on your wings. So decide where you're going to put the wings on either side of where the black is and make them kind of right across from each other and up to just below the neck there. So right about there. So I'm going to put some glue on there. And I'm going to glue the wings on. And then I'm going to put some glue on this side and glue the other wing on. So there he has his wings. So now we need to glue his feet on. So now you're going to get your feet. So your pre-cut yellow feet, and you're going to glue them onto the bottom. So I just put a little bit of glue on the foot and then stick it to the bottom. So there, you glued it onto the bottom. Now you're going to make a scarf for him. So I would just cut a nice size scarf. So take some felt, and I'm going to cut a long strip just for his scarf. And you can shape it at one end if you want like this. So it's kind of, and if it's too long, once you put it around the penguin, you can always trim it. So I've cut a scarf like this. So now I'm going to be wrapping it around the penguin, underneath his beak. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue right there to hold the scarf in place. So we're going to put a little bit of glue right there to hold his scarf in place. If you want your scarf to be a little bit shorter, just trim it a bit. And there you have a water bottle penguin. So I actually made one before, so I have two. So I hope you enjoyed your craft today. I know I enjoyed it, and I thank you very much for joining me. So just remember, always paint your bottle ahead of time, let it dry before you do any of the craft, and then stuff it full of cotton balls, put your wings on, make a little hat like we did, put your Google eyes on and your beak, and then your feet, and you're all set, and you have a nice, funny looking, cute penguin. All right, thank you for joining me. Bye for now.